So something on this channel I definitely do not do enough is game reviews. Yes, we've got Days Gone. I finally played this thing. I had turned it on a couple times and played through the first like 30, 40 minutes, and for some reason just never stuck with it. I do this with a lot of games, so that does not speak to the quality. That being said, I'd heard a lot of negative things about this. I know famously this got like a 6.5 from IGN, and they give everything a 7. So like anything under a 7 is insane for them. It's like pretty rare, and anything over a 7 is rare as well. So you can really never take them seriously. But usually when they give something under a 7, it's like, oh wow, it must really be poor. So I was super curious to check this one out, and I said I was going to make 2024 the year of the video game, and thus far I have absolutely stuck to that. In fact, so much so I've given myself an eye strain to the point where I have a twitching eyelid that I can't seem to get rid of because I've been playing so many damn video games. I'm just like staring at a screen relentlessly for hours and hours and hours on end. So I need to take a break for sure. But this was like 2 games ago now. I wish I would have got to this review a little sooner than I did. But anyway, we are following our main character here, Deacon St. John, played by Sam Witwer, who I know from Star Wars. He does the voice for Maul in the Clone Wars and also in Rebels, and he does tons of stuff. But and of course, Star Wars Force Unleashed as well. But anyway, we follow him and his buddy Boozer as they traverse the zombie apocalypse. This is a open world zombie survival game, and we are looking for our wife, who we left on a helicopter the last we saw her, and we then skip to almost 3 years later. One thing I really, well, 2.5, well, I guess it's not 3. I'd say a little over 2. One cool thing about this is every time you have like a ticking time kind of clock, so to speak. Every time you pause the game, it will tell you how many days gone it has been since your wife has been gone, and the world has been gone at the same point, which to him it is the world. His world is her. But man, this game is massive, just massive. As I had said, it's open world, and the map is huge. This is one of the best looking games I've ever played. This is a PS4 game. It's incredible how good looking PS4 games are. Because the game I'm currently playing, which is Spider-Man Miles Morales, is a PS5 game. And I honestly think this game might even look better. Like, this game looks phenomenal. Miles Morales looks fantastic as well. Don't get me wrong, but I was absolutely blown away by how good looking this game was. I think another thing that I typically am checked out on a lot of the times within video games, which is a shame because when I connect with a game in its story, which I very, very much care about the story, I'm not just there for the gameplay. The story is just as important to me a lot of the times. One thing that I always kind of get lost in is when the motion capture performances aren't up to snuff and the characters feel video game-ish. And a lot of the times in open world games, a lot of like the NPCs and these characters that you interact with on the side of the road, they can feel very fake. They can feel very video game like. And this game does a really fantastic job of making the characters feel authentic, right? The Last of Us obviously being the gold standard for me of like performances that relate to like realistic humans that I can see myself in the shoes of and buy into while I'm playing, because a video game has that hump to get over. You know, when we were growing up playing Mario and whatnot, of course, we never connected to those characters much. They were just little images to look at to make sure you could make the jumps, and you know, you could see a visual representation of whatever. You didn't connect with those characters almost ever. um, but here, you know, these later games that kind of feel like movies, there's some that just really genuinely feel like people, and this game is one of those, you know, those games that is able to achieve that, and I don't feel like that's pulled off enough. And the game's story is massive, as I said, massive. I played this. Now, I was a completionist with this. I did get 100% completion with every mission, every side thing. I knocked out every horde, everything. I had to make sure that the whole list of everything that was going up and down was 100%. So I did play this whole thing through, and it took me around 50 plus hours. Um, I think I got about 50 some odd hours into it, and man, I really enjoyed all of it. I played Red Dead Redemption 2 right before this, which was also massive, and wonderful, phenomenal, 10 out of 10. And with this game, I actually would liken this to a mix between The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption, um, because Deacon is a biker, and your motorcycle is as important to your character as your gun. It is a symbiotic relationship. You have to have your motorcycle. You spend half the game on your motorcycle. And the driving mechanics of the motorcycle felt great. It is slow. You can't upgrade the bike, but you never get it that fast. Honestly, you never really need it to be any faster. Fast travel in this is great. You probably need to get gas a little bit more than I would have liked, but you can upgrade your gas tank. Of course, I upgraded my bike to the highest level you could get absolutely everything. Um, but I never felt like anything was exactly a chore. Um, and I've seen a lot of remarks about the repetitious nature of the game, and I always kind of say, I don't know a game that isn't repetitious outside of a very small few. It Takes Two being one of those games. It Takes Two is a very rare game that really changes things up as you play, one of the greatest two-player experience games I could possibly recommend. But every level is like a completely new thing because you get new game mechanics, you get new weapons that you have to use together as a team, and it's fantastic. But with most games, almost every game I've ever played, whether it be Red Dead Redemption 2, which is like a 10 out of 10 for most people who have completely dedicated their time to it, The Last of Us, or, you know, the list goes on and on. Most games are repetitious. You know, Mario being one of those games that we grew up on, the fundamental part of our gaming life is literally just running and jumping, and getting different power ups that make you fly or make you, you know, run faster or whatever. A lot of games are repetitious, so that's it's whether or not the repetition is fun. And for me, it always was going in and attacking the humans, you know, or the rippers, you know, these psychopaths. You've got the hordes, of course. You've got the zombies, which are always plentiful. You've got bears. You've got, you know, wolves, and you've got zombie wolves, and you've got zombie bears, and you've got mountain lions. Although I never saw a zombie mountain lion, so they didn't have a variant of the mountain lion. It just seemed to be, I guess they never got turned. But man, I was always just so into the gameplay. I loved driving the motorcycle around. Yes, I used fast travel a lot, but even doing so, I still am on my bike a lot. And did I buy into the story? Was I completely into the journey of Deacon St. John? Absolutely. I loved his character. I loved his relationship with all the different characters that he interacts with. There's a villainous character like who you're on the fence about. His character is and isn't. His name is Schizo. This is a guy you just want dead from moment one, and you're like, you know where this is going. And when it eventually goes there, you're like, just give him to me. I want to, I want Adam. You've got Iron Mike, which I'm assuming is a nod to like Iron Mike Tyson. You've got, um, there's actually, funny enough, and this is something I think very few people probably made a connection to, but the leader of the Rippers is this like cannibalistic gang that like carves themselves up. They're very much like the Whisperers and The Walking Dead. They like kind of worship the zombies, or the Freakers as they call them in this game. Um, the leader of that gang was a biker that Deacon used to ride with, him and Boozer, and his name is Jesse. And he's the leader of the Rippers. I know a lot of people would probably be like, I don't, what are you saying? Full House. Anybody didn't grow up on Full House? Jesse and the Rippers. Jesse, Uncle Jesse's band was Jesse and the Rippers. I just, there's no way that is not a nod to Full House. There's no way that they made the leader of the Rippers Jesse, and it's not a Full House reference. I was not expecting to come into Days Gone and find a Full House reference like that, but here we are. As far as the guns that you use, man, yeah, there's some really great guns, and if you definitely want to make sure you know what guns you're going into situations with. There's this like 50 caliber sniper rifle that is just god tier, and once you get a hold of that, and the good thing about this game that I loved is that ammo is not scarce. Something like a Resident Evil, which is a resource management game, low resource game. I get it, and it works for Resident Evil, and I played through Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4's remakes, all fantastic. I'm looking forward to whatever one they do next, whether it's 5 or Code Veronica or whatever. But with this game, the mechanics were great, and the ammo was plentiful. You could replenish your ammo by buying it from any of the outposts that you go and meet up with. I never felt like I was short on resources. And once you can get the travel pack on the side of your bike, and you can just go to your bike and get ammo off your bike. And I never felt like I had lack of money, because I was always going out and doing bounty hunting. I was always doing, bringing back, trophies or zombie ears, as you go out and you get the runner ears, and you get all these, and you don't have to like loot every single zombie body, freaker body. You do have to loot every person's body. And honestly, if I was to gripe at all about resources, is that I always had too many. And so every time I would go to loot bodies, it would always be like inventory full, inventory full, inventory full. So I was always like, and I always had so much of everything. I always had so much of everything, whether it was the bandages or, whatever. Once you get the growlers and you get the big Molotov cocktails, those were really hard to come by. And I'm thankful that the hordes that were in the game were never the size of the first horde you encounter, the big one that you have to fight like for the mission. Because that one ended up being almost 900 freakers, and you have to kill all of them. That one took me a while. I died quite a few times, and I was struggling heavy. Once you start hunting the hordes that are on the map, they're nowhere near that size. They're nowhere near that size. They're much, much smaller. And there are certain guns that can absolutely obliterate so many at once, and you've got to make sure you equip those into your arsenal when you're going to go out and zombie hunt. Guns that have unlimited ammo, that spray bullets just like crazy. You want like a machine, like a little Uzi as your handgun. You want the like Tommy gun looking gun, and then you've got the big gun that shoots endlessly. All three of those, if you got those in your arsenal, you've got a bag with 3 different amounts of ammo. You can go and hunt hordes. You can take down 3-4 hordes with just that in your bike. So really cool. I absolutely emotionally bought into all of the stories with Deacon and everybody involved. I don't want to give a ton of spoilers here, but man, I really bought into the journey. I was engaged the entire time. I thought the freakers were scary. I thought all the settings that you put yourself in were scary. I thought that the relationship between him and Boozer was really great. I really liked that arc. There's other characters we meet along the way that I thought there was some great development with. I thought there was a lot of payoff to the stories. And another really cool thing here, and this is something that I can't give enough credit to, and Red Dead Redemption does this, part two. But not a lot of these games do these open world games, which I am sad by. But one thing this game does do that I absolutely adore is that once you beat the story, once you beat the whole thing and the credits roll and everything, the game then proceeds past the ending and you don't get put back in time. So like a lot of the times, like in a Zelda or something, you go to beat Ganon or something, or, you know, Ganondorf or whoever. And once you beat them, then the game will put you back before you beat him, and that's still a looming threat. But this game, once you beat it, that story, that you, everything you do from there, when you go back out into the world to bounty hunt to whatever, everything that's happened at the end of the game has happened. And when you return to those locations, all of that stuff still looks like the way it was when you left it, and all of the people talk to you like the end of the game has happened. And there's some big moments. There's actually one massive moment that happens after the credits. And I wanted to finish all the 100%, you know, getting the hordes and all these different things. So I was incentivized, but I didn't expect there to be big moments after the game ended. But absolutely, there is incentive to continue to keep playing because you get this massive tease for what I would assume was a tease for a sequel. Um, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm assuming we'll probably never get one. I hope I'm wrong. But that tease was shocking because I did not expect it. I just thought that the game would wrap up and then everything would from there would just be like, go out, do some bounty hunting, doing this and that. But there were a few big story moments, one massive one. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm so glad I continued to keep playing because I thought, do I really need to 100% it? And I was like, yeah, screw it. I'll just go see. I want to see if everything is different. And I went to the locations where you have the big, the big battles and everything. And when you get there, the compounds are still like blown up in the areas that blew up. And you know what I mean? So that stuff was really rewarding. And there's incentive to continue beyond the credits. Now, where I got to with 100% on everything, is there any more incentive to play past there? Not really, because there just didn't seem to be anything more to do. But after almost 60 hours of gameplay, I would say I got my money's worth for sure. So there's a shame that there was never like a DLC, that there doesn't seem to be a sequel on the horizon. But man, what a great game. What a beautiful game. And what an emotional ride that I wasn't really expecting. So IGN is out of their fucking minds on this one. This was phenomenal for me. I really have almost nothing to say. It would honestly maybe be in my top 10, top 20 games I've ever played. I loved this. Loved it, loved it, loved it. The horror elements worked. The dramatic elements worked. The gameplay was fantastic. Everything was super, super good. And it just looked as good as any game I've ever played. So no real downsides for me. It is massive though, and I can see some people being like, is this ever going to end? You just kind of keep playing. But for someone who's like really into it, you're getting your money's worth. This isn't going to be something where it ends and you go, oh, that was it. No, you're never going to think that playing this game. You're never going to like sit down and get to the end and be like, oh, that's all there was? That was so short. Nobody's uttered those words playing this game. So yeah, I've played a lot of games recently. I played through the Plague Tale games, Red Dead Redemption 2, this, Spider-Man. Now I'm on to Spider-Man Miles Morales. I've been really gaming like crazy as of late. And man, I'm so glad I have been, because I've had some wonderful experiences. And this is absolutely top. of the list. Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, both also phenomenal games. 10 out of 10s for me. So just I've put aside some phenomenal games, and I'm glad that I'm kind of putting them back to back to back. I think I'm going to play Spider-Man 2 probably will be next, but then I want to get back to Horizon because I never played the second one, Forbidden West. I loved and adored the first one, Zero Dawn, and I can't wait for the sequel, which I've owned since the day I got it. Came with my PlayStation 5, so I've always wanted to play it. I did start playing it, and I'm very much looking forward to getting back to it. I just didn't want to go through the progression again because I got Aloy to a place where she was like God tier, and then you get into the sequel, which takes place right after the first game, and then she's like a scab again. She's like, she doesn't have anything. She has like a bow and arrow that's like made out of wood, and she has nothing else. And I'm like, bro, what did she do with all of her stuff? Why can't we make games where if you got your character leveled up to a certain place, that if you play the sequel, the game saves the stuff and brings it over to your character so it feels like a genuine continuation, and then there's an incentive to get even better stuff in the sequel. That would be the coolest shit ever, because if I could have walked into Forbidden West with all the shit that I went into, Horizon, ended Horizon Zero Dawn with, oh my god, that would be so exciting to play the sequel, because it would feel like a true sequel since I have all that stuff. It wouldn't make any sense for her to get rid of it. So you'd have to explain in the opening of the game of why Aloy has lost all of her stuff, doesn't have any of her abilities anymore. But that's typical video games, so I can't really knock it. It's just at that time, I didn't feel like doing the progression again. I just played so much getting her to where I wanted her to be, and then for her to be knocked back down to like level 1 was like, ugh, I don't want to do this again right now. And I said I'd come back, and I will. So, anyways, Days Gone, fantastic, probably cheap as hell now. You could probably grab this for 20 bucks or less, and it's worth every penny. So many phenomenal games now you can get for nothing. The Uncharted games, you can get like the 3-pack, the Nathan Drake collection that has like the first 3 games on PS4 for nothing. You can get Lost Legacy and 4 in that pack as well on PS5 for nothing. You can get all the Uncharted games now for like so cheap. It's incredible. So there's just so many games these days that are so cheap, that are fantastic and hold up to anything today. Anything today. It really is phenomenal how great some PS4 games actually were. So, anyways, that's all I got to say on the game. What did you guys think of this if you have played it? And let us, it's just usually me and my wife, let me know what you thought, and I look forward to your comments in the comments below. All right, guys, bye.